Small good vegan jad. And in the news tonight.
Every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago has a fundamental right to safety and security. The Ministry of National Security has been taking a hard-line approach in the fight against crime. When we look at crime and criminality, there are three main areas in crime prevention methodology. This is the primary level of crime prevention, the secondary level, and the tertiary level. This week on Real Life with Nicole, we're going to have a look at some of the secondary measures of crime prevention, including the Citizen Security Program, the Mentorship Program, and the Hoop of Life Program. So we're going to have a conversation with Mr. Gregory Sloan Seal, Program Coordinator of the Citizen Security Program, as we have a look into the supportive methodologies used in the fight against crime.
Small good vegan jad. And in the news tonight.
Gregory Sloan Seal, Program Coordinator with the Citizen Security Program. Thank you for joining us here on Real Life with Nicole. Now, Gregory, many people are aware of some of the hard-focused approaches that the Ministry of National Security has been undertaking within recent time in the fight against crime. Not many are aware of some of the secondary measures, such as the Citizen Security Program. What is the objective of this program?
Well, the objective of the program is to reduce crime and violence, addressing what we call the most proximal and modifiable risk factors. Okay, there are three components to our program. The first has to do with the community intervention strategies. The second one has to do with building capacity within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service vis-a-vis their HR issues in terms of the emotional, psycho-emotional well-being of their officers, and also to try and build the relationships between the public and the police, okay, specifically within our partner communities. And the third one has to do with building the capacity within the ministry itself in terms of how they collect data and how they analyze data, so as to better inform policy decisions and intervention and prevention strategies where crime and violence reduction is concerned.
You mentioned something about proximal, what was that you mentioned?
Proximal and modifiable risk factors.
Proximal and modifiable risk factors. What are those?
Well, when we say the most proximal, within the vicinity of, okay, so what we can actually transform and change within a specific geographical area. Right. And modifiable will be, well, what we can actually change, as opposed to doing something you know, where we have to do legislative change or things like that, you know. So we just try to keep it within a specific geographical space and try to keep it within the realm of where the Citizen Security Program and its partners can actually have an intervention and make change.
Right. And what you mentioned something about high-risk areas. What are some of these high-risk areas and how are they targeted and identified as high-risk?
Right. Well, in between 2006 and 2008, we had a period where we were preparing, project preparation period, and we did a lot of research, right? A lot of focus groups, a lot of meetings, a lot of analyzing of data, right? And coming out of that, we wanted to focus on communities that had high incidences of violence and criminal activity.
Right.
We also had to look at a geographic spread too, because if we had only focused on, let's say, homicides, woundings, shootings, these sort of things, it would have been concentrated in the northwest, right, the east-west corridor. But because it needed to be national in scope, we looked at, we disaggregated it among geographic areas also. So we looked at the south, central, and also Tobago. Okay, so you know, the focus was on the types of crimes and the variances and frequency and these sort of things.
What are some of the initiatives that the CSP has undertaken?
Primarily, we are evidence-based intervention program. So coming out of the 2 years of preparation, right, we saw risk factors that emerged, such as a family history of violence, child abuse and child neglect, long periods of unsupervised time for children and young people, early sexual activity, right, which would have led to teenage pregnancies, early pregnancies, these sort of things. We all saw these as risk factors that would lead young people to get involved in criminal activity and violent activity. So a lot of our activities, a lot of what we call protective factors, were crafted to counteract this. So at a community level, we've done a lot of training and sensitization on domestic violence prevention, on child abuse prevention, child neglect prevention. We've also built the capacity of community residents themselves in terms of counseling, basic counseling, intermediate counseling. And this has all been done either through qualified non-governmental organizations, some governmental agencies, and also the University of the West Indies Open Campus. We've done training with mediation, you know, because we see mediation as a key towards you know, maintaining peace within our communities, because oftentimes you may get some minor infraction or minor disagreement between persons that can lead to you know, a violent reaction. You know, we have funded after-school programs, right, and that's a treat with this long period of time that a lot of children and young people would be unsupervised. Parenting support, right? Not only do we do parenting education, but we also try to develop within the communities, once we do the education component, parenting support mechanism that resides within the community. So persons who are experiencing whatever difficulties or challenges, they can lean on a peer group, you know, support person from their community to assist them. It's a work in progress, and it's really a medium to long term, but you know, we believe, and the data certainly suggests locally, regionally, and internationally, that you know, to really reduce crime and violence in the medium to long term, that we have to focus on the social capital, particularly at a community level.
The social capital at a community level. What has been the types of results that you have seen coming out of this? Because you mentioned it's evidence-based, and therefore you will have some type of empirical evidence based on results to show against what you would have had in terms of looking at the root cause. So what type of outcomes do you have?
Well, okay, with regards to, let's say, even the communities, how they interface and how they've been coming together. When we first entered a lot of the communities, and we work in 22 very specific communities, 19 in Trinidad, 3 in Tobago, there was a disconnect internally, right? A lack of activities, persons were very distrustful of each other for various reasons. We've seen an increase tenfold in terms of community-based activities and community groups working together to coordinate and implement activities. And these could be anything from family days, sporting events, you name it, right? On the crime and violence side, we've actually seen a substantial reduction in homicides. In 2008, when we started our implementation of the program, overall in 22 communities, we had just about 71 homicides within our 22 communities. And that represented at the time about 13% of all homicides occurred in CSP communities, okay?
Right. 13%.
13%.
Right, okay.
Yes, of all homicides in at that period were attributed to CSP communities. That was 71.
Right.
Okay? As of December 31st, 2013, we had a reduction to 29 within our 22 communities. All right, so that is a sizable reduction by any count. With regards to woundings and shootings, we also saw a 41% reduction there in terms of woundings and shootings. Okay, with regards to sexual assaults, we saw a decrease just at about 5%. Right now, whereas the 5% may seem like not a lot, what happened over the last 3-4 years is that with the development of the Victim and Witness Support Unit, that unit has been working tirelessly to promote what they do and also to encourage victims, all sorts of victims, but particularly those of sexual assaults and these sort of things, to come forward and seek the assistance and get redress, right? So there's been an increase in reporting So that will show up in the quantitative side of the data. But to say that there's been an increase in actual incidences, it doesn't seem to suggest that. So it's not what I'm trying to say is that it's not a bad thing that it seems like there are more sexual assaults, you know. I think people are just reporting it a lot more because there's more support being offered there.
You mentioned something about partnerships earlier on. What types of partnerships do you have outside of the Ministry of National Security and the communities that you work with?
All right, well, we have a civil society working group where we have close to 40 non-governmental organizations that we work very closely with in terms of service delivery, okay? And this is anything from Family Planning Association, treating with the whole aspect of, teenage sexuality and these sort of things. Working with Dolly and Associates to offer psychosocial support and training. Families in Action. We have Trinidad and Tobago Informative Parenting Services, TIPS, who do the parenting support.
Right.
We've worked in the past with Coalition Against Domestic Violence, looking at domestic violence, Rape Crisis Society. So I'm just giving you a kind of an idea of some of the agencies we work with. Love Until Foundation, right, among others. On the governmental side, we also work closely with the Ministry of Health, okay, in developing an injury surveillance system through the Port of Spain General Hospital.
Right.
Also doing a collaboration with the Ministry of Community Development in terms of really working with them to develop multi-service support systems through the community centers, right? So that young people and the community in general can access services and use the centers, a lot more. We also have a collaboration with the Ministry of Education, okay, Ministry of the People and Social Development. So, all of the key agencies, we do have a close relationship with them.
Do you have partnerships with business organizations?
We have interface with the Chamber of Commerce and also with the TTMA, right? They have a social infrastructure committee that CSP was involved in over the years. So yes, we do, because I mean the business community has a vested interest it's twofold for them in the sense that obviously a reduction in crime and violence just makes business a lot more attracting for regional and international partners, but also locally too. When we look at the workforce, right, there are a lot of young people out there who are underemployed for various reasons, and if we can somehow bridge the gap between those who need workers and those who need jobs, I think it'll go a long way in alleviating some of the social challenges that we have in Trinidad.
So for persons looking at this program, if they would like to perhaps partner with the CSP program, is that option available, one? And persons who would like to access the program, is that option available? And how do they get in touch with you or the program?
Well, the program is still quite focused on the geographic areas that we work in, okay? And that's one of the reasons why we haven't really been on a full out public awareness, public education campaign. Because anytime we discuss CSP and the work we do, we get calls from other communities. We need you all in our community. We need you all in our community. But the reality is that it is a 6-year pilot project, and we are coming to the end of the 6 years this April, 2014. But Cabinet has approved a 2-year extension, right? But following this 6-year period, we are having an external evaluation done, and I guess coming out of that, we'll see how the rollout will continue. We will be expanding what we do into East Port of Spain and environs, right? We will also be introducing a partnership with the University of Illinois in Chicago, which is called Cure Violence, and that project is really aimed at addressing the issues associated with gun-related violence. It's a full social approach, but looking at all the areas that need to be touched on to really try and reduce these incidences.
Well, Gregory Sloan Seal, thank you so much for welcoming us to the Citizen Security Program, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you.
Who smell good vegan jad? And in the news tonight.
We're here at the Never Dirty Community Center in Mova, where we're going to have a conversation with Miss Michelle Gopal, who has been a recipient of the programs associated with the Citizen Security Program. Michelle, how did you get involved with the program?
Well, actually, I born and grew up in this community. And Sharid Mohammed, which is the president of the Never Dirty Village Council, he told me about the program and asked me to come and join, which I did, glad I did.
Why are you glad you did?
Because I have benefited so much, not through the courses alone, but it helped with my self-development to work with people in and out of the community.
What are some of the courses that you took?
Well, I did a lot, and I have been to a lot of workshops sponsored by CSP. However, two that stood out for me was the, I did an introduction to counseling, which I could work with all age group. And also, CHAM program with family planning is a program that associates with working with families and their children and parents together. Really.
Have you seen benefits of the program in your
Yes.
community? Like, tell me about it.
All right. Well, since CSP came in, one thing I like about CSP is their confidentiality. Because of the program, it helped to benefit the community because in the community center, we had any programs at all. So it had a men program, it had nails, it had computers, it had things, skills that those who could not read and write could have joined. So it helped those who were linemen on the block and all of that, they could have come in and participate within the program itself.
Okay, so the CSP offered that wide range of programs in the community?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
very good. And did a lot of the community members participate in these programs?
At the beginning, when crime started to rise. So because crime started to rise, it had a fear for people coming out. But as those who were brave, so like somebody like me and Sharid Mohammed and others, we took part of the courses and whatnot. So as people see us coming out and we benefiting, and what happened, we started to get people to come out. Yeah.
Excellent. I understand that you opened your own business recently. Congratulations. Was that a spin-off of this newfound confidence of the CSP program?
I would say because it helped with my self-development that I would be able to work with parents and a wider community now. And most of the things that I learned, I would be able to share it with the development of the children that I would be imparting in their life now. So I will say yes.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this interview session. It's so good to know what the CSP program has done for you and for other people in the community. I am particularly excited that you've decided to pass that on and not only keep that information and knowledge to yourself, and you share it with other persons within the Never Dirty Mova community. Congratulations again on your business. I know you'll do fantastic and good job. Thanks.
All right, thank you as well, too.
Smell good vegan jad. And in the news tonight.
We're continuing to explore some of the secondary crime prevention measures of the Ministry of National Security. And I'm here with the director of the National Mentorship Program, Mrs. Kathleen Joseph. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining me. Of course, Kathleen is a very good friend of mine, and I understand that you recently had a baby. How is the baby?
The baby is great. His name is Samuel Jonathan Christian Joseph.
Samuel Jonathan Christian Joseph. Yeah.
I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about him all the time. He is a charm.
I expect that. So tell me, we're in Mentorship Month this month?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So National Mentorship Month is an opportunity for us to really say thank you to all the mentors, to reflect on what the program is doing, and to find an opportunity to encourage persons to become mentors in the program. The mentorship program would have started in 2011, and at that time we would have started with just a few mentors. We now have 177. We, however, do have a shortfall, because we still happen to have a big gap for male mentors, and we need male mentors.
What is the percentage in terms of gender?
We have more female mentors than males. I would say it's more 60-40, and in fact the number of mentees are in the reverse. So we have more mentees who are male and less mentors that are male.
Right.
So we have approximately 314 mentees in total, and of that, we have almost 200 who
So
are
for
males.
those persons who are out there listening, what is a mentor and what is a mentee?
So let's talk about the mentorship program, shall we? The mentorship program is a crime prevention initiative.
Yeah.
It is structured in such a way that it facilitates a trained adult, a mentor. And that person is identified through a screening process.
Right.
You apply, you are interviewed, we do a police background check on you, and we do some psychological assessment. Having passed that, you are then invited to be trained, a 30-hour training that we do to prepare you to become a mentor. Once you've come through that training, you are now a mentor.
Okay.
The mentees are now young persons between the ages of 9 to 25. They are persons who would have been recommended either by the parent, they walked in off the street, the school, student support services. And through that process, you are invited to become a mentee. To do that, you go through a 10-day orientation camp. The 10-day camp is a residential camp. So we take the young persons with their parents' permission and we find out about them. What were the triggers to you ending up in some trouble?
Right.
Why did your parent recommend you? What do you think you could get from a mentor? And we spend time with them, 10 days, 24 hours, and young people talk in the middle of the night. So it's in the night they want to talk, it's in the night they want to talk about what hurt them or why they're angry or what their concerns are or what their parents' concerns are. And at the end of those 10 days, we have an observation form that we have, and we actually now match the mentee and the mentor together.
Okay.
So the process is then a structured, monitored process. So internal to the National Mentorship Program, we have monitoring officers, and they would go out and they would actually monitor the relationship. They would facilitate the relationship by identifying mentoring centers, and through that process, over a year to 18 months, you find that young persons have somebody who cares about them, an adult who's interested in them, who spends time with them approximately 2 hours a week. And they would learn skills, time management, anger management, conflict resolution strategies, how to manage themselves in difficult social circumstances. Some of the results we have had have been phenomenal. We've had mentees, even at the end of the camp, having a personal change. They've recognized that other children are going through more difficult circumstances and they're behaving.
Right.
So maybe I could adjust my behavior. And some of them actually come back to be big brothers and big brothers to the campus. We have persons who parents call us and ask us what we did to the child because they went teen more aggressive and came back home helping to wash wares, understanding that the parent really cared about them. We've had schools call us and say the child has moved from the bottom of the class to in the top. So we've had that kind of impact on a personal level. And to sustain that, we need to continue in the communities and with having more mentors. And we have approximately 200 young men we have not been able to match so far in the program. So we really want a big call for mentors. And so this month was about that. This month was about raising awareness of the program because to some extent it's the best kept secret. The mentorship program has been happening since 2011. We're now in 2014. And a lot of people don't know what has happened. When you start a program, you would have to spend some time to put your infrastructure in place. So we've been doing that. And so while we would have done that, I think we're now at a point where we could expand and we really want more men to volunteer to become a mentor.
So your clarion call is for men to come forward and become part of the mentorship program.
Yes.
How easy or challenging is it to access this program, both from the perspective of being a mentee and being a mentor? Can anybody just walk off the street and say, I would like to be a mentor?
Anybody could apply who's 21 years and over, a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, and who is interested in being part of the solution for crime. So anybody who wants to do that. But in order for you to actually become a mentor, the process is one that you have to be trained because the ministry is responsible for this program, and therefore we have to account to the parent, we have to account to the state with regards to the state resources we're using, and so we can't just take any and everybody. But if you want more information, there's a Facebook page, which is the National Mentorship Program Trinidad and Tobago Facebook page, you could go on and you could register to become a mentor. Or you can call the office. We have
What's the number?
623-7881, extension 131-3132. There are a few, as well as you can meet with us on Brian Lara Promenade on February 4th, where we'll be having Mentorship Village.
Okay.
We want to offer the public an opportunity to interact with the mentorship program, find out about it, find out how you become involved, find out how your child could become involved, as well as volunteer to be a mentor.
So February the 4th,
February
the
the 4th.
Mentorship Village on Brian
Brian
Lara
Lara
Promenade.
Promenade.
You're inviting the population to come down and have a conversation, have a chat with you all to find out a little bit more about the program, because you're really making a clarion call for more of the men to come forward. You mentioned to me while we were having a chat, Kathleen, about this seminar that you hosted some time ago where
Right.
there were over how much ever
Right.
men. Tell me about that.
Well, during the month, we would have had at least 3 events happen already. One was the Fatherhood Fair. We had approximately 300 men and their sons come to meet us in Celibia. We took them apart and we created a meal space. The theme we looked at was parenting in a volatile national security environment. And we really wanted to find out from men what they needed to be better fathers, as well as from their children what they needed of their fathers. So what we did, we took the men apart. We had a meal space. None of the females were allowed in the room. The moderators were men, the speakers were men, and they talked to them about what are the challenges to parenting. Through that process, men were able to speak to their children, talk about their needs. And in fact, one of the big moments of that event was the minister, speech minister Mohini. His remarks were powerful, and he called on all the men in the room to be Baba, which is the community leader and fathers to all. As well as he would have the men in the room spontaneously started to shout, "Boy, I love you," and they had a real connection.
Who were they shouting? Boy, I love you too.
The sons. So there's sons in the room, because the speaker, Brian Skinner, would have made a call for a lot of time. Most men can't remember when the last time their fathers said that to them. So immediately in the moment, there was this response.
Yeah.
That was a big event. The other thing that we did was a parenting workshop, where we would have had 30 of our mentees parents. Some of the challenges that the program has recognized and the parents have asked for it is that a lot of parents find it challenging to parent their children. They often are tired, they often want support, and so they wanted to support each other. So we hosted them in a parenting workshop in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development. And then we had a symposium for NGOs and CBOs, both from Trinidad and Tobago, that wanted to start mentorship program right in Port of Spain at City Hall. So we had over 80 NGO groups participate. We will be having some training for our mentees coming up in partnership with White Up. So what we have done through this month is partner with relevant agencies to help persons understand how they can become a mentor, how they become a mentee. But the mentor and the mentor relationship ends. It's about 1 year to 18 months.
Right.
After that, you have to go back into your community. So we want to partner with our community group so that the young persons, having left a good relationship, could continue with other adults and other structured programs that can help them.
Kathleen, we've known each other for so many years. I mean, through so many different incarnations, from being a registered nurse to being involved in HIV and AIDS. I mean, what does this mentorship program bring to you from a perspective of the passion that you bring to everything that you do?
I'm very proud to be a Trinidadian and a Trinbago citizen. I love this country and I love the Caribbean. And it's been my life passion to make a difference by staying right here. I remember when I was in nursing, my husband wanted us to go away and to continue better from the economic perspective. And I always found a way to figure out the next program to get involved with to stay in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And that has been true to me. I am here to make a difference. I'm here to help change this country. It is my responsibility to give the best of me, and I love young people. And I think oftentimes they need support and guidance, and there are adults out there who love them too and want to support and guide them. So for me, every time I see a mentee pass through the office to say, "Miss, hi, I'll go into my session," it says to me we're doing something right. We're making the change we really need to make.
Thank you, Kathleen, so very much for having us here. It has been a pleasure hearing about the National Mentorship Program, and I wish you and Sammy all the very best.
Nicole, it's been a pleasure having you. And this year,
Mentorship
Month,
cookie.
we have mentorship cookies. And so, on behalf of the National Mentorship Program, have a
Thank
cookie.
you. Have a mentorship cookie. Thank you. So would persons coming to the promenade be given mentorship cookies?
We have a limited amount, so the first come, first serve. But
Okay.
we have some mentorship cookies on the
Thank
promenade.
you.
And in the news tonight.
We're going to have a conversation with two mentors of the National Mentorship Program of Trinidad and Tobago to hear a little bit about their perspectives and why they chose to become mentors within this program. Lincoln Balkaran, thank you so much for agreeing to interview with us on Real Life with Nicole. Why did you decide to become a mentor?
Well, having grown up in a single parent family, there were challenges.
Yeah.
And I thought about it that, you know, if I face these challenges and I didn't have anyone to really express my feelings, these children are actually going through these challenges. And if I can be that stepping stone where they can come to me, express themselves, and, you know, make better of them, I'm available for that.
Safia Gibson Morel, you are also one of the mentors. Why did you decide to become a mentor?
Well, I decided to become a mentor because I understood what the program was about. It's really about assisting younger people who may have been looked upon as just troublemakers. But I know sometimes people go through something in life, and it's not that they're troublemakers, but they just want their voice to be heard. They need that guidance, and I felt that I could have done something like that. So
What are some of the benefits of the mentorship program, both for the mentor and the mentee?
out of the program, really, one of the things my mentee's main issue or problem was that she had an anger management problem. And out of the program, we were able to discuss, you know, why she was so angry, and, you know, for what reasons, and we were able to share on that level. That I was able to assist her in that light.
And how old is your mentee?
She's 15.
Definitely, it's working, I could say 110% so far. I'm seeing changes in my mentee. When he first came in shy,
How old is your mentee?
he is 13 years old. He recently started the SCA.
Okay.
He passed for secondary school in the East. So he's in Form 1. And, you know, we discuss problems at school, at home, and he's opening up. The first time we met, he was like sheltered. He wasn't talking. You know, he was just watching, observing. And then through past meetings, he then started to open up. He felt comfortable with me and be able to express things that, you know, he wouldn't tell anybody.
What would you say to attract other persons to become mentors within this program?
Well, this is a program where we actually need men. So I'm appealing to all men to be part of it. We need father figures. Most of these mentors are growing up in single parent family without a male in their life. Once we can be that support to them, they'll make a better person. Because, you know, we tell young boys, if something should happen, then we tell them, don't cry, and they stifle up their feelings. But if we can meet one on one with a male, and they can express themselves and learn to bring out their feelings, you know, it'll be so good. So I encourage all men that this is a good opportunity, you know, that we can give back to society. We are already seeing how the crime situation is going, and most of the time it's young men. And let's be realistic that these men need grooming. They need someone to look up to. They need a role model. They need a brother figure, father figure. And if we can provide that for them, little one person, like starfish picking up one and throw it back in the sea, make a difference in society.
It's very self-fulfilling to really see someone who would usually be just cast or go through the system, not given that opportunity, because my mentee, she's a young, bright individual, and she have a lot to offer. So it feels really good to know that you help that young person channel what they have to offer in a positive way. And that's that self-fulfillment of assisting someone else. That's really, I will tell them yes.
Well, I'm sure your mentee would be looking at you now and be very proud of her mentor. Thank you so much, Safia, for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. Making a difference in society, that you are. Thank you so much, Lincoln. And I hope that you continue in the program because clearly you do have a passion and a joy for what you're doing. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Step up, reach out, take on. That's the call of the National Mentorship Program of Trinidad and Tobago under the auspices of the Ministry of National Security. Become a mentor, why don't you? This has been Real Life with Nicole. I'm Nicole Dyer Griffith.
Good smell, good vegan Jad. And in the news tonight. Good smell, good vegan Jad. And in the news tonight.
I always knew the time would come. Some things are just inevitable. I believe the end that arrives begins in the moment we choose a certain path in life. And wherever that journey takes us, I believe whatever we become goes right back down to how we look up to see ourselves in the future. I believe in myself. I see the world spinning out of control only when we miss the point of it all. I believe things will only change when we do. Those are the rules of the game in life. So let the courts decide, because the time will come, as it must, when opportunity will arrive. I believe we will come full circle in the hoop of life to become somebody we always looked up to when we believe.
We're continuing our conversation as we explore some of the other secondary crime prevention measures, and we're going to have a look at the Hoop of Life program. I'm here at the Office of Law Enforcement Policy with the Director of the Office of Law Enforcement Policy, Mr. Keith Reno, and the Technical Director of the National Basketball Federation Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Obadiah Asher, who would give us a little bit more information and insight into the Hoop of Life. Mr. Reno, thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about the Hoop of Life program.
Well, the Hoop of Life program was established in 2012, launched actually by the Honorable Prime Minister as a measure as crime prevention measure in the first instance, but more than that is to improve the lives in communities at risk in Trinidad and Tobago. As a result, 60 communities have been identified, 10 in Tobago and 50 in Trinidad. And the first round of the program started off quite nicely, and as a matter of fact, and the result has been tremendous in terms of the objective, the main objective of bringing communities together, which was demonstrated very, very clearly by the time the final rounds of the tournament came around.
Right, yeah.
It was also repeated at the second round, which completed in November, where on the court in Laramine, between Laramine and Maloney, and then Maloney and Laramine, up at Maloney, where the tremendous crowd support was unbelievable.
Yes, we saw clips of those on the news and how the communities came together, and
Yes,
so, yes.
it was. So from that perspective alone, we are saying that the tournament is one that is worthwhile, and certainly we can improve as we go along to engage more deeply with the young people who are at risk in those communities.
Right. Well, Mr. Asher, as the Technical Director of the National Basketball Federation, what is your take on OLEP choosing basketball to be the impetus for this prevention methodology?
Well, first of all, let me say thanks for having me here.
Pleasure.
And basketball was the ideal sport for a number of reasons. One, there are courts all over Trinidad and Tobago, so there was already infrastructure. But not only that, because of the nature of the game and the low cost to participate, a lot of people, I don't want to say who are at risk, but who live in simple, humble communities.
Right.
There's a basketball ring on the pole.
Yeah.
There's one on the corner. So there's not something that you need a lot of land or something to set up. So that the people who you were actually targeting, most of them would have been exposed to some kind of basketball, because basketball is right there with them every minute of the day. Not only that, if you are tracking people outside of the sport, whereas you could look at a football game, and while some people will love football, you look at a whole game and one goal score, no goal score, at times it's boring. Because of the pace of basketball, it generates a level of excitement, which also the people who sometimes involved in crime have that sort of high energy. So it's a win-win for everyone, and basketball really was the ideal sport.
And have you seen, Mr. Reno, that type of result, a kind of win-win result?
Well, certainly, and it has been demonstrated, as I mentioned earlier, on the train line, for instance, in Marabella, where in the first round, I mean, that train line was transformed into a place of a hub of activity, where we even had vendors who were plying their wares and so on at the venue. The place was crammed. But it was a wonderful sight, wonderful sight.
So you really include the entire community in the whole process.
Precisely, and that is really the intention, to stimulate activity, to excite people, because of course we know there are challenges with respect to communities and engagement with others, with other people in the community and so on. So it is intended to break down quite a few of those barriers as we move forward.
Mr. Asher, what do you see as the next level for this program?
Well, first to begin, I just want to commend OLEP for taking this initiative, because some people have the misconception of sport influencing crime. Sport of itself will not influence crime. Crime will be influenced indirectly. Sport brings a certain level of discipline, time management, anger management, dealing with your peers, dealing with everyone else. And sport is something everyone loves to play. Not only that, there was a research done, and when they interviewed students, and the coach was more important to them than the teacher in the school, than the parents, and anyone else in the community.
Where was that done? Where was that interview?
In the United States.
Okay.
So that what they were saying is that when you have to influence young people, they're attracted to the Messi, to the Maradona, to the big star, the
Ronaldo at all.
Yeah. No, because I'm not a real fan. So that, you know, but at the end of the day, you want role models and people who they could identify with, who they would want to be like. But the best role model is one that come up from your community.
Correct.
So that when Hoop of Life come into communities where you wouldn't normally go, like Mr. Reno mentioned, on the line. What you would be doing on the line, going to do anything, but the basketball will bring them out.
Right.
And not only that, they will show people in their community who have talent, who they notice up and down walking on the road. So it's an opportunity for people who not normally prominent and popular to do something to influence others. And that is where basketball and the marriage will bring more intervention into other programs that will assist in the fight against crime.
Tell me something. You're speaking about the program and you're very passionate about it. You're very passionate about the outcomes that you have seen. Is that level of passion transient in some of the persons who have taken part in the program?
Well, definitely. And one of the things that OLEP has done, and by extension the Hoop of Life management, is that we speak to the technical staff about what their role is. It is beyond basketball. So we don't even choose people. One of the laws of Hoop of Life, if you get involved in any crime during the program, you immediately expel. So it's not just a job, or as we call it, a hustle, or as they say on the street, eat a food. It's about influencing your community. So that we expect them to bring the fans out, bring the people out, put on a good display. And not only just a good display for now, but continue through the whole program and involve the community. One of the most amazing things I want to tell you about, when we were at the games and we see Lavantil come down into Laramine, the game going on in the court, but during the halftime there's entertainment. And Lavantil Rhythm section was playing, and the Indian dancers from Laramine dancing, and they all in one. I mean, that is what you really want to happen, you know, so that the program have a whole lot of benefits. And once it is transferred to trickle down to everyone, that is where the influence will come.
Right. Fantastic stuff. Mr. Reno, tell me a little bit about the Office of Law Enforcement policy and some of the other programs, because you have other secondary type programs as well.
Yes. Well, the Office of Law Enforcement Policy was established in 2007 with the primary role to facilitate or to support the transformation of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In 2010, when Brigadier Sandy took the role as Minister of National Security, he felt that there need to be a greater emphasis on the social aspect of the programs. And that is why the Office of Law Enforcement Policy was given the mandate to concentrate on some social programs in East Port of Spain. There are, in various areas, we provide quite a support for schools. Right. We have some school intervention, reading to learn programs in schools in East Port of Spain. For Christmas, just within recent times, we supported about 25 Christmas functions for children who otherwise would not have been able to have a gift and so on, and a treat for the season. We have established in Gonzales what we call a Joint Community Service Center, which has been established here in November last year, and in which we have community activities taking place on weekends as well. We have classes, we have airbrushing classes, we have dance classes taking place as well. The police controls that center, so they are there to provide some protection and support for those communities normally that would be warring. They all come to that common place for activity, to participate in the activities that we do there. We are in the process of establishing another center in the BTAM in collaboration with the Ministry of Community Development. And really it's about community building and about changing or improving the quality of life of individuals. Because we are of the view that one of the conditions that really fuel crime is the conditions under which people live. And we need to change that to a large extent, which you change the conditions, you change the way they think, you change behavior. And so that is really, in essence, the process by which we proceed. Right. We also supporting currently Carnival Band, Zebra Peak Productions, where we have sponsored 300 children from 10 communities in Laventille to play in the band. This is our third year participating. It's jointly supported by the ITF, the Interagency Task Force, as well as the Defense Force, and they will be, the children, the youth will be taking part in activities, all the children carnival during the period. And that is one of our success stories as well, because what we also have is from each of the communities of which we speak, 10 communities, we have parents getting together to support, because they are charged with the responsibility to organize their bands up there. So they organize from each community, they come together and play mass, so we enjoy this time together, so there's no need for us to be fighting sometime later on.
Very good, very strong underlying policy frameworks. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank both of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Reno. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, Mr. Asher. Thank you for giving us a little look into the Office of Law Enforcement Policy and into the Hoop of Life from the National Basketball Association's perspective. This has been Real Life with Nicole, looking at the secondary crime prevention measures with the Office of Law Enforcement Policy.
There's only dreadlines for the headlines, thousands on the red lines, no good news on the headlines. Dreadlines for the headlines, thousands on the red lines, no good news on the headlines. Oh, what a grave situation. What really going on in the nation? Oh, what a grave situation. Oh, right now we in a spot of moderation, and like we headed for some further tribulation. Oh, what a grave situation. Oh, I want some good news today. Hey, that is what I say. Give me some good news today. That is what I say. I want a day when nobody didn't kill nobody.
I'm here with the Laramie Jetstars, the championship-winning team of the Hoop of Life 2013. And joining me are the members of the Laramie Jetstars and their manager, Mr. Earl Skeet. Mr. Skeet, tell me, how has it been since you've become champions of 2013?
Fantastic, great, beautiful. A great influence for this community and the basketball team we have here. We're doing a great amount of work in the community for years. I was very successful in getting through to this phase, 2013, to be the championship of $1.5 million.
I understand that you had over 4,000 persons packed into this court.
Yes. That was the semi-final game as well as the finals game. We had about 4,000 people viewing this basketball team we have there.
What has been the impact of this Hoop of Life tournament in this Laramie community?
It's very great to see that this community has developed such a great inspiration in basketball over the years. If you look behind me, you'll see the poster there since 1970. I've been putting out a great amount, and most of the players on this team, I started coaching them at the age of 9 and 10 years old. It was very fantastic to reach at this level. However, though we lost to Laventille by 1 point in the semifinals last 2012, we were successful in 2013. It was beautiful, and we had to thank the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Sports for putting this program together. For 2014, we'll be very successful in carrying it forward by winning the final year of this tournament.
Yeah, I see it's really a community effort, because with us we also have the councillor for the area, Mr. Hall. We also have the secretary of the village council, Ms. Mitchell. So it really has been a community effort.
Yes, great. The community support was very fantastic. We have people who with disability came out, people who never was involved in sports came to support this community. It's a great effort, and we thank each and every one of the supporters, the sponsors who assisted us, business people in the community for reach at this level to win this tournament.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Let's have a conversation with the team captain. So Adrian, tell me, how has it been being the captain of a championship team?
Well, for me, it was an opportunity to lead this team. You know, I played abroad for a few years, so it was an opportunity for me to come back and, you know, showcase what I learned. I know playing amongst friends, playing amongst family was a great opportunity for me as well as the community, and in the end, it did pay off.
It paid off in what way? Well, in addition to $1.5 million.
Yeah, well, besides the money, I mean, it was an opportunity to curb crime in the community. It helped us bring the community closer together, and, you know, it was an opportunity also, you know, for our friends and our family to, you know, enjoy most aspects of it.
How did you keep your team motivated?
Well, I mean, losing in the first edition of the Hoop of Life, you know, we realized what we had to do. I know we came back together as big men, as big older players, senior players, and, you know, took advantage of the opportunity and not repeat in history.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Let's have a conversation with the championship MVP, Derek Boxell. Congrats, Derek. So tell me a little bit about your experience as a championship MVP.
Well, most of all, hard work does pay off. So being the MVP of this tournament, I think, is about hard work. And not just playing basketball. It's about doing your homework, work beside basketball, running and push-ups, sit-ups, what have you, to get there. So
I heard in the side talk before we actually started this interview, you were talking a little bit about discipline and the importance of discipline and getting everything the way it should be done. Tell the persons who will be listening a little bit about that aspect of discipline in the game.
Well, most of all, discipline is not about yourself. Discipline is about whatever aspect or whatever you're doing in terms of what they want. It's not what you want to do. So it's the number one key in any aspect once you want to be successful, so you must have discipline. There's no other way, must have discipline.
Well said. And where's my championship jersey?
Well, probably you come late, so.
Head coach, Mr. Leon Henry, how has this experience been?
So it's been a very good experience for me. That growing up in a community Laramie, that's this with most of the guys I grew up with was much smaller than me, and, you know, I got an opportunity because I've been playing with the Jet Stars. This was my coach, this is the manager, and I was my coach before. So he gave me this opportunity, you know, to coach, to go a step further, and which I use this opportunity to work with the men, which I tell most of the guys that I didn't have any problem with the guy because they already had a level of discipline which was instilled by the manager way before. So my work was much easier. What I was concentrating on was fitness and to lift the standard of the game, because again, some of the players mightn't have the experience because we were playing some of the better team in bigger communities, but we were more physical and more mentally prepared. So it wasn't really a challenge for us. We will really know that what we're capable of doing. We was just waiting for the opportunity to go there and execute, and which we executed. That is why we have this result here today, that you all have to come and interview us here.
Are we going to have this result in 2014?
Most definitely, definitely. We started prepared from now, because preparation is the key to anything that you want to achieve in life. And one of the things I admire in Hoop of Life is that it have brought communities closer, because, you know, I have ventured the communities I never went before, and meet people that I never before, and they calling me coach. You know, it's a sign of pride. not only for me but for the team. It's not only about but it's about bringing the community together. So when I go in on you and ask me when the tournament is, people I never see for 10 and 20 years, to see them come out on rainy days to support us, it's a good feeling. So that's why I tell you this year going to be ours. Look forward for that.
This has been Real Life with Nicole. I'm Nicole Dyer Griffith, and this has been the Laraman Jet Stars, the Hoop of Life champions of 2013. Look for them in 2014.
Good smell, good vegan Jad. And in the news tonight.
We started this television production telling you a little bit about the different measures that are put in place for crime prevention, the primary, secondary and tertiary level crime prevention measures. I'm sure at the end of this production you will no doubt have understood the lengths that the Ministry of National Security has gone into ensuring that the secondary crime prevention measures, the softer side of national security, are really in full swing. This has been Real Life with Nicole. I'm Nicole Dyer Griffith.